What's going on? Back again. Truth a Lot Thursdays. This next question, I actually got a couple questions about this, so I definitely wanted to address it. Um, Pretty much the same question. It says, did you see what happened with that New Era Detroit group in that church there? So there was this list last week. I guess there was this New Era Detroit, which is like a community group that tries to stand for the community. And they went to this church called Great Faith and protested and kind of interrupted the service, which is kind of crazy. So I heard about that and I saw it, and to me, it's a really sad situation. Number one, because it's just nonsensical to do something like that. Because what people don't realize is a church a church is a group of families primarily, and so you're walking into a private building that you don't own. It's not a public building, it's a private building, owned by an organization, a group of families. And you're walking up in there, and these men they have their wives and their children, and you're going to start to cause a ruckus. Like, that's not even healthy, because a man is a man. Even if he's a Christian, if his wife and his children are next to him, he's going to rise up. So you don't just start protests. It's like coming to somebody's house and starting something. Like, that's the stupidest thing. Don't you know they have a gun right there? A lot of churches have security guards, like hired Ministry of Defense. And even if it was like not a big organization church, even if it was a family church, like in a house, nobody's coming into my house and protesting my family, with my children right here. That's not going to happen. So yeah, it's crazy to do that, because when you do things like that, not realizing what you're doing, you think you're protesting an organization, but you're protesting a private, a group of people with their families next to them. And it wasn't well thought out, and you can kind of see it on the interviews. They're like, yeah, we could have did something different. But it's not well thought out to do things like that, to get violent when a man has his wife and his children there. It's not natural. Now, public protests, if you want to protest in the street, okay, that makes sense. Say what you got to say. But you don't walk into somebody's private property and cause violence. That's not healthy. And it just doesn't make sense to me. Now, as far as their complaints, the pastor has too much money. The church is not doing enough for the community. There might be some truth to that. I mean, there's a lot of pastors that are really push the money too much, and they flaunt their wealth too much. And Jesus didn't really, he didn't really push that. So yeah, it's incorrect. But when you use spiritual authority, it's not done with violence. Spiritual authority is exercised by persuasion. Spiritual authority is exercised peacefully. Spiritual authority is exercised by prayer, by fasting, by preaching, by standing, and then if the last resort is separating yourself from the people you don't agree with, that's spiritual protesting. You don't protest something spiritual with physical violence. That doesn't make sense. If you really don't like the way that this church is operating, don't go there. And my thing is, you don't go there anyway, so why are you sitting there coming up in a church and protesting what they do? Because you don't support them. If you don't support them, what do you have a problem with? You're not supporting them. You don't believe what they do. You don't support them. I don't know why you need to come up and protest violently, or causing a ruckus in somebody else's ministry that you don't even believe in. If you don't believe in it, just separate. And if you want to complain about it, you can use communication skills, not confrontation, that are non-confrontational. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Do they have a valid point? They might have a valid point, but guess what? There's a way to do things, especially when it comes to private ministries and private organizations and private families. And if you don't support something, just separate yourself from it. And people, and somebody put a real funny comment on Facebook today. I think his name was Adrian Bass, and they said people want the church to do everything. They want them to build up the community, feed the poor, give all the money away, buy everybody a house, have everybody live in a house, but nobody wants to. They want them to accept sin, but nobody wants to obey the gospel. So the church is supposed to do everything for everybody, accept everybody's sin, but nobody's supposed to give it any money because you don't come and you don't support it. Like, that's just is literally impossible, and it's insane for you to expect so much from some organization that you support so little, and you reject everything they stand for and everything they teach. So yeah, the church is supposed to reach out to the community and show mercy, and that's what good churches do. But you shouldn't feel entitled, to receive all types of like benefits, and just crazy different benefits from something you don't even support. And if they choose to do that, that's fine. I mean, we give the church. I'm sure there's churches that give to the people that don't return anything to them. That's good. We're supposed to do that. But when you start demanding things and you want to give, when nobody's giving any money to the organization, but everybody wants to get money from the organization, that's not even mathematically, doesn't even work mathematically. And a lot of people will criticize organizations, but they don't know what the organization is doing in private. They don't know how many people that organization does feed. They just assume that it doesn't do anything. They don't know how many people that the church has blessed. They don't know how many homeless people. They don't know how many houses. They don't know how many cars. They don't know how many jobs have been passed out. You just point the finger, but you don't even visit to find out what's going on first. So it just doesn't make any sense to me either way.